Welcome to this first edition of the Mindful Mondays. My name is Bob Cunningham, and I'm a counselor with Life and Work Connections. During this time of COVID-19, this is clearly a time of some anxiety and worry for folks, worry about our health, worry about our loved ones. And my hope is that today I can give you a little information about mindfulness practice and how that might be helpful to you, not only now, but also moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And hopefully you can see the presentation screen. So today we have about 15 minutes together. And what I'd like to do is I have to make the assumption that while I may have some people joining that are very experienced with mindfulness practice, there may be some folks that are new to it. So I'm going to do a brief overview of mindfulness practice, probably about 5 to 7 minutes. We'll talk a little bit about why you might want to give it a try, what's the benefit, and where and how you can practice it. And I'll also be giving you a brief tool. It'll take us about 3 to 5 minutes to go through the tool together, and we'll practice that together, and that will complete today's agenda. So what is mindfulness? When you think of mindfulness, you might get images of people sitting in a meditative pose, and what you see on your screen are examples of what's called concentrative meditation. And when people engage in concentrative meditation, that can be anywhere from 5 minutes to as many hours. But the reality is we may not always have that kind of time, and there are mindfulness skills that you can practice in the midst of your day in 3 to 5 minutes that are simple tools that can really be effective in helping you to lower your anxiety level or stress level. So you might be wondering, well, why should I bother with this? What's the point? How is this going to help me? So I'm going to be on the left side of your screen. I'm going to be presenting to you some research on the emotional and relational benefits to mindfulness. And then on the right side of the screen, I'll be talking about the physical benefits of mindfulness. So let me just load up my laser pointer here. So in this first study, they looked at how mindfulness helped to increase acceptance and self-compassion in response to stressful experiences, and found that helped people to improve their ability to show self-compassion, acceptance for themselves. And then also in this study in the Greater Good magazine, they looked at how consistent meditation helps people to increase resiliency to stress, and then also that mindfulness practice can have a positive impact on your relationship with others. And then finally, in this last study, they looked at how regular mindfulness practice can help you to dissolve feelings of fear and anxiety. But there's also physical benefits. And in a cardiovascular study, they looked at people that had high blood pressure, how if they engaged in mindfulness practice, they were able to lower their blood pressure by doing regular mindfulness practice. And then in another study, they did imaging of the brain, where they were able to show that regular mindfulness practice helped increase something called cortical thickening in the frontal cortex. In other words, basically increasing that size of the brain. And that's where we do a lot of our thinking. And then we're in the part of our brain called the amygdala, where we experience fight or flight, sort of our emotional brain. They found that mindfulness practice helped to reduce gray matter in that area, or in other words, anxious arousal. So what happens is we improve through mindfulness practice. We can improve our clarity of thought, and we can decrease our anxious response to certain situations, to stressful situations, like we're in right now. So what I find in working with clients when it comes to anxiety and worry, what happens a lot of the time is people slip into this thing called catastrophizing. And catastrophizing, sort of expecting the worst possible thing to happen. And there's no sugarcoating it. What we're going through right now is a concerning time. But if we go to that place of extreme, of catastrophizing, it can have a real impact on us emotionally and physically. We can start to lose sleep. We may start to experience headaches or digestive problems or physical body problems. And in extreme cases, lead to extreme emotional distress or panic. So what is mindfulness? What's the goal of practicing mindfulness? So mindfulness is basically intentionally paying attention in the moment on purpose without judgment. So you bring your awareness to the moment. And another thing that's helpful, I think, and one of the things that I try to work with my clients with is to bring a sense of compassion or kindness to yourself, especially in a time like we're in right now. I think it's important to practice self-kindness and practice compassion for what we're going through. So what this boils down to is this concept of practice. So this tool that I'm going to do with you today, you might try this and you might think, well, you know, that was okay, but I'm not sure if that's going to be helpful. What I would invite you to do is what I'm going to teach you today, consider practicing it at least once a day for a week and see what you think. You don't have to do it at home. You can do it if you go out on a walk and you find a bench. I know in my neighborhood we have some park benches. I like to take a pause and practice this exercise. Again, it only takes a few minutes, but it boils down to practice, and that through practice you can learn to lower your anxiety level and your worry level progressively. It takes a little bit of time, but it does have impact. Now you might be wondering, well, this sounds good, but how can I get started? So there are several apps. I just named a few of them here. Headspace and Calm are a couple of pretty popular apps for getting started on practicing mindfulness. There's an app called Liberate, which is specifically for people of color. The Smiling Mind, and then Uber. This last one is one that I'm partial to myself. It's a free app, and it actually has several tools. One of which is a mood journal. It has a regular journal, but it also has embedded in the application, it has some meditation tools as well. So that's another app that you could try, and it doesn't, at least the last time I checked, it didn't cost anything. Now, if you're not into apps or you don't have a smartphone, you could go directly to YouTube and just type in mindfulness, guided meditation or mindfulness practice, and there's lots of YouTube videos out there that will guide you through doing a practice if you want to go that route. Or you can try the practice that I'm going to teach you today. So at the end, after this last slide, we'll go ahead and get into that practice. But if you're interested in more information on mindfulness, there is a specific YouTube video called Mindfulness by Dr. Shauna Shapiro. And I will put this link in the chat box before we're done if you want to check this video out. It's only about 13 minutes. All right, so let's move on to our practice. So I'm going to go through the practice with you first, and then we'll practice it together. So this is called the 3-minute breathing space. In the first minute, what you're going to do is you want to close your eyes and get into a comfortable position and get into a relaxed rhythm of breathing, deep breathing. You're going to notice, you basically are going to bring your awareness to noticing any body sensations, feelings or emotions, or any thoughts. And you're going to do your best to just avoid judgment and criticism as best as you can. Or if you notice a lot of critical thoughts coming in, you just acknowledge them, like, okay, there you are, I see you, but I'm going to continue with my practice. In the second minute, we shift from awareness into focusing only on the breath. And so some folks like to do this by focusing on the sensation of the breath going in their nostrils, out their mouth, or you might like to focus on the rising and falling of your chest, or some people like to put a hand on their chest or a hand on their belly to feel their belly fully fill with air. And then in the final minute, you expand your awareness to your entire body. And you take note of, does my body feel any different since I've done this practice? Now, if there's one area that I like to expand, if I make this greater than 3 minutes, now today we're only going to do the 3 minutes, but the power in this exercise is really in minute 2, where you focus on the breath. So if I ever expand that part, I might focus on the breathing for 3 or 4 minutes and only do sort of sandwiching it with 1 minute of focusing on awareness, and then at the beginning, and then focusing on awareness at the end. The breath is really the meat and potatoes of this exercise. So let's do this together. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully stop sharing my screen here. And now we will go ahead and practice this together. So I'd like you, if it's comfortable for you, I'd invite you to close your eyes. I think it works a little bit better that way. If that's not comfortable, you could just lower your eyelids a little bit. And try to settle into a nice rhythm of breathing. Full breaths, feeling your belly fill all the way. And bring your awareness into this moment. Noticing any feelings that might be present. Sometimes feelings take up residence someplace in our body. I know when I feel stress, I might get that in my shoulders. If I have anxiety, I might have some of that in my stomach. So wherever you notice that happening for you. If you have thoughts coming in, your mind drifting away, that's okay. Just gently nudge yourself back to the exercise as best as you can. And in this second minute, your only task is to focus on the sensation of your breath. The rising and falling of your chest, or the sensation of the air going in and out of your nostrils. Again, if you notice your mind drifting, that's okay. Just gently nudge yourself back to your awareness of your breath. In this last minute, try to expand your awareness to your entire body. What do you notice about how you feel? Is anything different? When it feels okay for you, you can open your eyes, come back. Now this is a tool I use this tool in between sessions. I use this tool during my day when I take breaks. It's a really quick, easy way to lower your stress level. So I hope that you'd be willing to give it a try. I'll be back again with you next Monday for another technique. I think next week I'm doing something called the GLAD technique, if you want to join us for that one. And I believe we have something available tomorrow as well at the same time, correct? Yes, at 10 o'clock, if you can join in for that one as well. But thank you for joining me today. I hope you found this helpful, and hope you experienced some peace in your day today through this exercise. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you next Monday. Take care.